gotta call it.
Call this meeting to order, yep.
I'll call this meeting to order and do roll call. Or do we?
What's that?
Or just call it.
Pledge allegiance. Let's do the pledge.
Start with pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any public comment?
Nope.
No? Okay. On to new business, adopt final 2020-2021 district levy.
Okay, so we do normally do this in two parts, the district levy and then the budget. So a little bit has changed since the preliminary budget, but I will open it up. So the final budget is in here. It's the stapled document that's colored. There was a couple changes due to the refinancing that we ended up doing. We thought that was going to impact this year's budget. It hasn't impacted this year's budget. And the way that Baird explained it is that we're going to have to levy a little bit more in Fund 38 and 39, and then as we continue with the refinance, we'll see that savings every year, but the budget will reflect in 38 and 39. We'll continue to have to levy to kind of adjust to the refinancing. So the big changes, the property tax came in. So in Fund 10, really the main changes, the property tax came in. We had the equalization aid, the library aid, transportation aid, all the big items under the state revenue, the 600. Some of those have changed, so those numbers on the right-hand column have been adjusted. Probably the biggest changes, the Fund 39 levy, we're levying quite a bit more to keep the mill rate at the $9.78. So in the notes that I gave you, so at Fund 10, the levy is $1,250,163. Fund 38, we're levying $553,185. Fund 39, this is the big change. This is going up to $650,000. Fund 80 remained the same at $30,000. So the total levy amount is $2,483,348. So the mill rate is almost the same as what it was. It's a little bit higher than the preliminary budget, but the levy numbers are quite a bit higher, and that's to reflect keeping the mill rate at where we've been having it the last couple of years. So we've kind of flirted. We're right around that $10 per $100,000 mark is where we're at. So, any questions with the mill rate or the levy amounts? Okay.
I move to approve the district levy for 2020 to 2021 at the 9.78 per 100,000.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 district levy. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? And then the
Next order of business.
the next order of business is to adopt final 2020-2021 budget.
So same thing that I went over. Do you guys have any questions with the final budget or the changes made to? No? Okay.
I move to approve the 2020-2021 budget.
Second.
Been properly moved and seconded to approve the 2020-2021 budget. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. The next item is approval of resolution and authorization of Wisconsin bank account.
Okay, as you guys decided during last budget that we're going to be working with Wisconsin Credit Union Bank. This resolution just authorizes the list of individuals that I put in the notes to be able to open the account and then to transact on behalf of the public account. So just procedurally, we got to do it so we can open and make transactions. Any questions?
I move to approve the resolution authorization of West Wisconsin bank account.
Second.
Been properly moved and second to approve the resolution of the authorization of Wisconsin Credit Union Bank account. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Number 6, the consideration and approval of board policies.
Okay, so I apologize I didn't get you guys these in advance. They're pretty short though. So we just have, these are new policies. We do this, the first one is just the district and the school report card. So I put those are in the way back. So the first one, we have to report, or we have to post our school report card, which we do every year. But Neola's recommendation is that we have a policy for that.
And this isn't the report card, is this the report card that DPI puts out?
Yeah.
This is the
Yep.
same, that's there.
That's this, yeah.
probably would have needed some of these.
Yeah.
Let's see,
Yeah.
holy fucking.
No kidding. You guys done with the report card one?
I'm done with the one.
Okay.
The report card, are we gonna do
Yep.
them all separate?
Oh, I just kept reading.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to.
Okay.
Do we have to do them all separate, or can we just do them all?
No, we don't have to do them all separate. questions on any of them?
No, I'm with Nettie. I just, like even the one on debt management, that's just, it seems so common sense that, I don't know, it's just interesting, the new
Yeah.
policies.
How about the last two, the epidemics and pandemics? That one's pretty straightforward, and everything highlighted, is indicated that, we take those sections. And we're already doing those sections as far as, the plan.
Yeah.
I think that pretty much follows what you went through in August with the whole big plan presentation, so.
Yeah. The second one though, the first, the PPE one, that one's obviously, will allow us some, flexibility as far as if individuals are non-compliant with it.
Are you trying to say in here students 5 years and older? Because it just says students in 5 and older.
Yeah, it should say
Or-
5,
Great.
ages 5 and older.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this aligns with the information that came out about the students not complying with the PPE piece.
Yep. As far as the letter sent home from the high school?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
The exceptions for the face shields make sense.
Yeah.
So they don't want cloth face coverings in the science lab with a Bunsen burner.
Yeah. So no questions with that one?
Because
Okay.
this policy only applies during the pandemic or epidemic events when it is required by CDC or public health guidelines.
Yeah, so what we are going to be doing once we have this board policy in place, then we're going to be more enforcing.
Mhm.
Right now we have a handful of kids a small amount of kids I should say that just show up every single day without a mask, and we've been flying through masks that we've provided by the district, and so this will give more teeth to what we're trying to do and hold everyone accountable and keep everyone healthy, but then also without them, with kids not wearing it, the masks appropriately, the exclusion process, the criteria, it puts us in a tough position it forces us to make decisions that we don't want to make and send kids home when we don't want to be sending them home, so. And again, it really is, it's a small amount of students, and I think once we start enforcing that, it'll deter kids from.
Just gives you the clout to.
Yeah, either you wear a mask or you're going home.
Right.
Really are the two options, and then if it's we're gonna go 3 strike, you're out, and if it's after 3 strikes, then they'll be no longer in the building, they'll be going virtual is the option for those kids. So I don't see it being a huge issue. I think there'll be a small amount of students that will struggle with
Are
that.
you seeing the same issues in the elementary school, or?
No, elementary students are it's more of reminders. Their masks are down quite a bit. They take breaks, and they're also you'll see a kid just walking in with no mask, and just because they either forgot it or it's in their pocket, or it's not there's no defiance that
Yeah.
we have not been dealing with any behavioral issues at the elementary at all with the masks.
High school?
High school, it's been more of the, I don't want to say passive aggressive, but just, as soon as they'll see an administrator, then the mask goes up. But it is a lot of,
Down below the nose.
yep, coming in the building, walking around, and then getting their mask on. And it's constant reminders, but it's a small population of the same individuals that are doing that. So I think with this policy in place, and then once we have board policy, we'll be able to enforce that, and then some of those kids are in sports, which will be a huge deterrent. If they're kicked out of the building, they're not going to be practicing for that day due to the mask. If it becomes a behavioral issue, which in the cases that we're talking about have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it really has been an issue once we started contact tracing. Then the conversation has been, who had it on appropriately, who didn't, walking through those, and it, like I said, it puts us in a tough spot to be sending kids home when we don't want to.
So do we need to go through each one individually, or could we just approve?
No, you can make a motion to approve
Okay.
Policies.
the listed policies, yeah.
I move to approve 226103 District and School Report Card, 6147 Debt Management, 842001 Epidemics and Pandemics, 845001 Personal Protective Equipment during Pandemic and Epidemic Events for the new board policies.
I second it.
It's been properly moved and seconded to approve all the new board policies.
Yep.
To vote?
Yep.
Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
I
All opposed? Motion passes to approve all new board policies. Now on to response of COVID-19.
Yeah, to be honest, Ryan, I'm not sure if you technically do when you have the only two
You two are
individuals
making
that
the
are saying
motion.
aye are the ones that made the motion and seconded.
Right, I was wondering.
Okay, so update. We are, if I'm being totally honest, we're hanging on by a thread. In both buildings, it's been a constant. Every day you're kind of holding your breath. There's been a couple days where I thought for sure we'd be closing down midday and trying to get kids home, and but we keep making it. So just to give you an update, right now we've had 4 students test positive for COVID. We've had 5 staff members, 2 of which have very limited amount of interaction with students or staff, but we just wanted to be on there because technically they're staff members. So we're at 4 students, 5 staff members. We've excluded, these numbers have changed, the ones that I gave you. Right now we're currently at 132 students that were out of the building today due to exclusion factors over the past 2 weeks. So we have a large amount of students that are out of the district, and we currently have 16 staff members. We've talked about a threshold. I met with the elementary staff last night and then met with the junior senior high staff today. It's hard to say, I think I said this at the last meeting, but there really isn't a threshold. We've been talking about, today the admin team met and we talked about like what are our options, where do we go from here? Because right now the biggest area of concern is our custodial staff. We have 1 elementary custodian still in the building at the elementary and 2 in this building. So we've been asking support staff to help out. We've been asking teachers to spray down their rooms. At the end of the day, it just really is, it's the custodial staff are really getting burnt out. So like I said, we're right on the edge of the edge. The problem is the variable of, like, we know how many staff are coming back, but we don't know how many, will get excluded in the near future. So it's really a guessing game. And each day we're, waking up and figuring out who's here, who's not, and who the subs are going to be for the day. So
what's been the length, like if the students need to be out, staff need to be out, is it 10 days, is it 14 days?
it depends. Yeah, most of the time it's been 14. Okay. If you test positive, it's 10.
Yeah, that's why I just was wondering.
But then there's also variables if like you have household members that test positive during your exclusion period, you could be out for more than 14 days. It all depends on your last exposure date and your last symptom onset date. I don't mean to say this flippantly because I know everyone's experience with COVID is different, but right now, like best case scenarios, you test positive, have limited amount of symptoms, and then you're only out 10 days. And I say, again, I don't say that flippantly because I know individuals have been very ill, but we've been lucky as far as everything that has been communicated to me, as far as individuals that have tested positive have had very limited amount of symptoms. It hasn't been severe or scary. It's just been flu-like symptoms. I think they've communicated to us that they feel really like a bad flu. And those are all adults. Most of the kids have had limited to none. Some that we've had haven't had any symptoms, and they had to get tested because of exclusion factors, and then they tested positive, so they didn't exhibit any symptoms. So we are, just dealing with that right now, and the staff been doing a nice job, helping out, and we've got people kind of, even our own teaching staff and support staff have been filling in different places. And today the conversation was with the admin team is, talking through the thresholds, talking through our options. But then the real issue is, I said this to the county too, we're just playing the exclusion game and trying to keep, everybody here. But at what point do you say, yep, the level of our instruction is being compromised, everyone's stressed because they're covering for everyone else, and the instruction just isn't what it should be. So with that said, we have a plan in place. We're keeping we're keeping going. We're going to keep open, but it definitely is in our future. I see it in our near future of some type of temporary closure to try to get our feet back on the ground and get people back in the building. But like I said, we're not quite there yet. I know there are probably some individuals in the district that feel like we are at that point. But I feel like overall as a district we're very close, but we're not quite there. That decision I don't take lightly, because I know how much it compromises our families and our parents and childcare, and there's a lot of variables outside of the district that I know it impacts. So we want to be sure to make a decision that's also recognizing those pieces or variables for families. So we'll only do it if we have to, but I can tell you with confidence, we're getting pretty close. We're right around the corner.
Well, like my daughter's class had 24 kids typically, and she was down to 8 for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's hard when it's biology and algebra too.
Yeah. And it's stress on the teachers. I think there are many districts that are doing where teachers are responsible for your virtual kids too, and we haven't been doing that, which I think has been
that was smart.
Yeah, I really do. I think it was very smart, but I think now we're getting to the point where it's feeling like that, and that stress is starting to pile up on the staff. So anyway, I just wanted to fill you guys in and let you know that we're getting close, but the decision isn't there yet.
So if we shut down and send everything virtual, that shuts down every other activity of the school then too?
Not necessarily. This would be a staffing decision. So there are some scenarios where I would be okay with approving certain things, but I lean towards let's shut everything down and try to keep everyone separated for a short period of time, and then get everyone back in the building and get things up and running again. I can tell you if that happens, we also talked about a plan in place for after the return, and our instruction might look a little bit different as far as a schedule. So we're going to be bringing like a calendar to you guys at the next, probably November meeting to talk through, those options as well. And I'll be communicating some of that through email with you guys.
I can see where block scheduling would be nice right now, not so much movement in the building.
Yeah, block scheduling would be ideal.
You know what you'd only move a few times during the day.
Yeah, especially like some type of hybrid block. But anyway, so I shared out with all of the families in the district. I sent you guys an email too. We changed up the procedures just because if we didn't, I felt like I'd be sending out a letter every. Even the day that I sent it out, we had another case where I had it. So if you noticed, luckily there was a grammatical error on my letter, so I changed that one out and threw a new one in there to reflect the 4 students, 5 staff members. The plan and the thought behind that, I don't want to burn parents out with school messenger where they're not looking at what we're sending out frequently. But then if we have a COVID case that results in a closure of any kind, a letter will be sent to all families.
Will you do like the snow alert, like phone call then too?
Yeah, I mean
that would close.
Yep, it depends. So if we have a situation where it's what's that?
Like if you close quickly, like the whole next day, you probably have to get a message out.
Yeah, then it'll be immediate. If it's a one classroom, like at the elementary, I probably won't. I'll send a letter to all of the entire district, and then we'll do a phone message and a letter specific to those parents. So I gave you the procedures for that, the updated procedures. I put in the letter. You guys already saw that in my email. I'm not going to read through these because this information hasn't been shared with all families as far as the specific classroom letters that we had 2 classrooms compromised, and then you'll see the letters that were specific to the different areas in the district. But I do want to say I shared with both the elementary and the junior high staff. The contact tracing has been interesting process, and it's not what I thought it would be. It's a lot slower process. It also has caused a little bit of frustration for some, feeling that some areas like the whole district should be closed in certain areas. But I just ask that people trust what we're doing, that we really are following the county's guidance. So in some situations, especially older kids at the elementary, there's scenario that we've dealt with where we don't feel like any of the kids were close contact. We had a younger age classroom where an immediate touch is considered a close contact, and we couldn't identify
Which one?
how many. So we did close it down that classroom, right or wrong. That was the decision that we made internally. After talking through with the county, we're like, in good confidence, in good conscience, I can't say who or who. When you talk to a kindergartner or a first grader, I have a first grader, and sometimes they can't even identify who they played with on the playground that day. So, or pre-K, kind of same thing. So in that situation, it was a younger age classroom, and we just decided, everyone's excluded because we can't. We're pretty sure everyone's excluded anyway, just because of the nature of the classroom. But we made that decision. So, long story short, I guess is it's the process is interesting with contact tracing. A lot of times we'll find out the information, and then that individual has been in the district for 2 or 3 days, and then we're backtracking to find out, try to figure out where they were, who came in close contact. So I know that brings frustration with it, because we're not always right, and I'll be the first to admit it. When you're contact tracing, it's we're looking at film, trying to identify people, and it's hard to tell how close they are. So a lot of it is talking to the individuals, and we have to take them at their word and trust, that they're giving us the accurate information. And criteria is within 6 feet for a total cumulative of 15 minutes. Deems you a close contact, immediate, any type of contact, skin on, skin, handshake, hug is considered a close contact. Any amount of time without a mask on within the 6 feet proximity, you're automatically a close contact. And then any potential exchange of respiratory droplets. So if you cough, sneeze, in someone's direction, then you would be considered a close contact. So hasn't been easy, hasn't been fun. Nobody wants to deliver that information to families, but it's been going fairly well. But as you can tell by the numbers, 132 students, we got a lot of kids out of the building because of the 2 buildings because of the criteria for close contacts. Any questions on those? No.
Can we assume that you say 7 teachers? Can you tell us what is that?
7
2
staff
are
members.
It says 7 teachers and 8 support staff excluded.
Those are contacts.
Is
Where
that?
do you see that? Where are you looking? What document are you looking at?
I'm just wondering, are we losing more high school staff or are we losing more elementary staff?
Oh,
I think it's half and half.
Just
Yeah.
it's about even, okay.
it's really,
Okay.
it's even, and every scenario is like kind of different too. Like most of them, some have kids, some don't. One went to a event. Yeah, there's really.
So not one building's not faring better or worse than the other. I mean, both are pretty.
Yeah, the elementary is a little bit more out, probably.
Okay.
I would say. But then, I think student-wise, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, the high school is, according to this, 72 versus 43 elementary.
Yeah, so yesterday, the junior senior high had a lot more kids out, which makes sense. I mean, the elementary were able to cohort a lot more. I mean, they're in one room
Right.
all day long.
Right.
Here, they're not. You know, I think if we had better cameras and a ton more time, we'd have probably quite a few more numbers excluded, but it's hard to identify the close contacts.
Right.
You know, when you talk to kids, and you know, we're basing it best guesses. We look at the seating charts in the classroom, but in reality, I mean, when you walk around, you know, I mean, kids they're touching each other, and
Yeah.
we're doing our best to try to, you know, stop that. But and they're not wearing their masks as well as
Yeah.
we'd like. But you know, it is what it is, and that's where we're at. So. I also put in the letters sent home that you guys have already seen. So make sure to the 2 different grade levels that we sent letters home to, and then just to end it, well, before I go on to the next thing, you guys have any questions with the contact tracing, or you know, kind of
Who's
how
primarily responsible for that?
the contact
Who's doing the contact tracing?
It's all admin, and the ladies in both buildings.
this-
Yep.
okay.
So it's been, I've been involved in every one of them,
Okay.
and then it depends on the building. Elementary, I've been working with Mr. Peterson, Ms. Johnson, and Mrs. Robel,
Yep.
and then here, Mrs. Labry and Mr. Gillis.
Okay.
So yeah, but it really it's a lot of work, and the county is, you know, we met with them today, and they're changing it up a little bit, and more is now falling on the district. So it takes you away from your normal
I'm gonna say it's just.
job just to try to figure out. And the county's doing a remarkable job. I can't speak. They've been nothing but impressive to work with, but they are extremely understaffed. I mean, they're dealing with, you know, the same thing we are, but I mean, they're calling us on the weekends, and they're having us do stuff on the weekends and figure out, you know, even a couple cases they asked us to communicate that the individual tested positive, and it's been a lot of work, and it's definitely changed the game for this year. On a positive note, well, actually, before I go into any questions, the criteria for exclusion is the exact same for students as it is staff. So when, you know, anytime I talk to a parent or individual that's frustrated, I'm just as frustrated. I'm not frustrated at the county because they're doing a great job, but it's just as frustrating in my role, especially when we're trying to keep a district running and you're sending people home that, you know, don't feel like they should be going home or don't have any symptoms, or you know, it's hard. It's not easy, and I get their frustrations too, because it's more of if it's just symptom related, it's more of a pain to just go get tested and then bring the results back. Then usually they're out for, you know, 1 to 3 days depending on the turnaround. But on a positive, we were able to bring in a guest speaker, Tasha Shu. We brought in, and so the guidelines or procedures that we developed at the beginning were only essential people into the district. So I made the decision. I deemed her as essential because of what we're dealing with and her message. And as we talked through, you know, her coming in, I saw her speak about 4 years ago, and called her to see if she could come here, and they were just booked. So I didn't think anything of it. And then I had 2 high school girls approach me last year as part of Clay organization, and bring me her name and said that their youth group church, the collective youth groups from all the different churches, would like to bring this individual in. And I was shocked. I said, girls, I've heard her speak. She spoke at the Wisconsin School Board Convention, and then she spoke at the Superintendent State Convention, and I've heard her twice, and she's phenomenal. She has a great message. She does have kind of 2 different messages. She has a school message, and then she also has one that's tailored to a church setting. And she's an individual who was during high school. She was on stage practicing for theater, and someone had left the trap door open, and she backed up and fell, I forget how many feet, and landed on the back of her head.
16 or something?
Yeah, I think, yeah, 10, 15 feet, and has been paralyzed ever since. So her message is really just resiliency, hope. I think what we're dealing with right now, with all the different disappointment, she did a great job. She presented it, she delivered a message just like how I had imagined and that I heard at the WASB conference. And we only allowed one class down in the gym, and then we used the program that we use for streaming volleyball games and football games. We streamed that into all of the classrooms. It wasn't the ideal as far as the technology. It was a little bit hard to hear initially, and then by the end everybody had their volume cranked up. But obviously it would have been great to have her and have everyone in the gym listening to her in-person message, but we didn't feel like we could pull that off based on the procedures that we have in place to keep everybody distanced. And it ended up working out great, and seemed like it was very well received from the kids. And it was nice to have some type of offering, that's not just the sit and get classroom that we've been doing with all the different field trips and activities that we've had to cancel and not been able to do. It was nice to have some type of normalcy and and provide something for the kids. So anyway, she did a great job, and it was nice to have her present in the district. I think that's it, unless you guys have any questions. Oh, I'm sorry, sports update. So sports update, winter sports right now are still a go. WIAA released some guidance. Some of the guidance has discrepancies within the guidance. We called WIAA to get confirmation on what the actual guidance is regarding masks. Right now the governor's order supersedes all WIAA guidelines, is what the WIAA office says. And if there's an order in place when the winter season starts, then masks will be required for the wrestling season and the basketball season. So I'm not quite sure how that is going to work.
When are games supposed to start?
So the practices begin November 23rd, I believe.
So close to the current mask.
It'll be right after. So if if it's not extended.
But it's a shortened season also, and it's...
Yep, shortened season. Today we met with the county regarding youth sports. I made the decision to kind of postpone that until give us another 2 weeks, just because of a staffing issue, and with the masks with the little ones trying to do sports, like it just wouldn't work. And the county made the comment, that has potential to undo everything that you're doing in the classrooms. With that said, the majority of schools are moving in the direction of youth sports. So, right or wrong,
it's a hard battle between the mental health and the physical health.
Yeah. For us, we can't do it just because we don't have the man and woman power to clean everything. So right now I've not communicated this out, but I had it in an email set to go to those coaches that we're going to postpone, reevaluate on the 16th, see where we're at, where staffing is, push it out to November 30th, because then that will give us the ability, we'll know if the order has been extended or not with masks, and then talk through if even with all that in place, we'll still be reevaluating and talking through.
There's maybe Thanksgiving break, a break from the building for everybody too.
Yeah. Yep. So, but as far as high school sports, they're saying they're a goal right now. So, I do, I can see how masks could work with the basketball. Having a background, a little bit of a background in wrestling, I don't know how they would stay on. When I called WIA, the phrase I use, I said, unless you duct tape it to your head, I don't know how.
Would that be more of a conference thing then?
No, just because it's in WIA had issued that's that's their stance on it. But they also said that they weren't going to release anything just because it's too political on the discrepancy within their guidelines, which is unfortunate because it'd be nice to have a clear-cut
Yeah.
answer. But that was what the conversation was with and this was the head individual, myself and Mr. Rosine talked to Dave Anderson. I believe he's his executive director, and talked through kind of where they're at. And I said, if the state wrestling meet happened today and the state basketball meets, tournaments happen today, would there be a requirement to have masks in that competition? Because if yes, then we have to follow, as a school, we have to follow all of the uniform guidelines throughout the school year, leading up to the tournament. The rules don't change. And he said yes, they would. The governor's order supersedes all WI guidelines, and masks would be required. So yeah, so we ordered a couple more. We ordered some masks for winter season just to be on the safe side. So any questions with either of those? Because I know I have questions.
Does it become a health issue for basketball players playing in a mask? Just their ability to breathe. Are we going to have more people that maybe have asthma or lung issues having more medical issues? Not that we can't play that way, but I just think that's something coaches would really have to be aware of.
Then you can give the doctor's excuse. I know we played Turtle Lake and they had one girl that didn't have a mask on, and I know she has.
Yep, and now WIA has stated, made the statement that masks are required regardless of even a medical exemption.
Or sports.
Yep. So, we talked through that with them as well, and they said, it's going to be up to the coaches to cycle kids
in and out,
in more, give them breaks. Because in their guidelines, it does say if they're exerting themselves, they can take the masks off. But that's and that was one of the discrepancies. But they said only outside of not in the context of a governor order.
So it's all governor orders. It's 100% mask.
Mask, yep.
Outside of that, maybe some leniency, but not much.
Outside of that, then it becomes the WIA stance would be they have to wear masks leading up to competition, and then it'd be a local decision if you want to go more restrict or not. You could require your kids to wear masks during their games. But you can't go less, right? Yep. What was one other thing? The safety thing was a concern, with that, and then also someone brought up the example of gymnastics, which we don't have. But if the mask were to get, in their eyes while they're on the balance beam or something, is it a safety hazard or safety concern? I know if you're working out hard, I do know. The mask would be hard to have on during that. In their guidance, I don't know where they got it, and it didn't have it cited, but it said that there's no correlation to not getting enough oxygen. Like, it doesn't prevent oxygen intake. It which just from my limited amount on a treadmill, it sure seems like it, but I'm not a professional. But anyway, so that's what we're dealing with at the sports level, and that's been interesting to navigate too. We're working through it, but as of right now, the stance is that face coverings will be required for all winter sports. We're just trying to figure out how that looks for both basketball and wrestling. Wrestling's the tougher one, because they've also said that gaiters are not allowed due to safety choking issue.
Gaiters will not be allowed?
Not in wrestling. They are in basketball. Yeah. So.
Along with COVID, where are we at? We're about a quarter done with our CARES money. Is budget going to need to be fished around, moved around to cover salary stuff that CARES isn't covering?
Yeah.
Now that we're a quarter in, how do you think this is going to affect the budget?
It's going to have a big impact on our budget this year. We have the CARES money didn't do a whole lot. I shouldn't say that. It's $80,000. It's $80,000, but just our virtual learning was $90,000 for one semester. That doesn't include any masks, plexiglass, sanitizer, buckets. I mean, all the different expenses that we had related to COVID. On top of every time someone's out, that money is coming out of, the districts, the FFCRA. We have not, depending on how they qualify, I think I shared that with you guys earlier this year, but depending on how they qualify, the individuals that are excluded, that's district dollars that we're paying for leave, that they're out. So it's going to have a big impact on our budget.
We're not paying for meals because you're getting that from the aid. Can that money be used anywhere or allocated elsewhere?
No, I mean, that needs to stay in Fund 50.
That's what I'm kind of getting to. What funds are movable and what? Because some people are saying, "Oh, you're not paying for meals. You got that money." Well, we don't really.
Yeah.
And they've also got extra help because of all of the
extra packaging and extra
serving. It's not self-serve anymore, so we've added a staff at more than one staff at each building. And
no field trips. That makes up a lot of money. Well, not really.
Less subs in the building for events might.
Yeah.
It's just that we're a quarter in next week. What's our budget looking like for?
Yeah.
Assuming next quarter is going to be a little worse because of the winter.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely saving in some areas, but we're overspending in more than we're saving. Like we're not doing any professional development. Well, I should say we're doing very limited. Today I met with the admin team and said that we're not doing any more professional development just because of staffing. We can't. So we're not, there isn't a whole lot of travel as far as gas, with that. So, but overall, we are definitely spending
a lot more. That's going to be a tough year.
Yeah. Also on top of it too, we're going to have an impact. I mean, we've lost right now 45 kids to homeschooling. I mean, hopefully a lot of those kids come back, but even if they come back this year, all of our dollars are, I should say all of them, but many of the, like the state revenue, most of the formulas are based on a 3-year average. So this year will be impacting the next 3 budget cycles with the
help
state.
that a little bit, that government would look at that.
Yeah.
A little bit of funding, but who knows?
Yeah, and they might. I don't know. I know that.
Just exclude this year as a.
Take out this year out of the 3-year average or something.
Yeah, next board meeting, DPI has been doing a lot of, communicating different things, and I know the budget is, I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to accommodate this year, but like DPI has a list of different things that we can apply for waivers and flexibility with. I'll be bringing that list to you guys next in November, and we'll be most likely applying for flexibility instruction, flexibility in minutes, and flexibility in educator effectiveness. We decided not to at this point, unless we have to at the end of the year, which we might be bringing that back. I can't think of the other one, but instruction and minutes are the 2 main ones, because it's, like I said, it's just a matter of time before we close down. And then when we talk about what we want the schedule to look like, I'm going to be proposing some options for you guys to look at look at possibilities, and that's going to impact the amount of days that the kids are in the building, the amount of days that the staff might be in the building too, delivering instruction.
Yeah.
So, any other questions? No?
I guess publicly, I think we all need to say thanks to you and to the teachers and to our staff. I mean, we see the top of the iceberg, but the lower part of the iceberg is way bigger, and there's just no way to say thanks enough for the stress and the output and because everybody's job is 150% compared, or 200% compared to normal.
Yeah, I appreciate it, and there isn't a position in the district that hasn't been impacted and hasn't, with this. So it really is. Everybody's doing a good job, but you do feel it. You feel this. People are stressed. I mean, they are.
It just kind of radiates in the building. Just people's stress.
Yeah. Yep, and on top of, kids seem kind of antsy too, we don't have, there's not as much movement, there's not as much going on, we're limiting, they're not allowed to go to games, they're not, we don't have as, we're looking at a virtual option for concerts, it's just.
And winter came early, so now everybody's
Yeah,
like,
it-
this winter's gonna be extra
Yeah, but it's gonna be
long.
nice next week.
But I just think that,
No, it's gonna make
I
it
think
really
that just
better.
kind of added to it. I mean, summer went fast and all of a sudden we're back to the cold and even, it's gonna get nice, but it just makes it seem longer.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So kudos to everybody
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay.
Any future agenda items?
Just the waivers we'll be sharing with you guys. That's it off the top of my head that I can think of right now.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Sorry,
Oh,
can they sign that resolution?
I'm just saying, can we
Stop.
sign